प्रभुपा प्रभुपा जय जय प्रभुपा। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकीम्। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna, we are reading from Canto 4, Canto 2, Chapter 7, and verse number 8. विद्धः सपत्न्युदितपत्रिभिरन्तिराग्नो बालोऽपि सन्नुपगतस्तपसेवनानि तस्मादाध्रुवगतिं गृणते प्रसन्नो दिव्यास्तुवन्ति मुनयो यदुपर्यधस्तात्। विद्धः सपत्न्युदितपत्रिभिरन्तिराग्नो बालोऽपि सन्नुपगतस्तपसेवनानि तस्मादाध्रुवगतिं गृणते प्रसन्नो दिव्यास्तुवन्ति मुनयो यदुपर्यधस्तात्। Viddha, pinched by Sapatni, a co-wife. Udita, uttered by Patribhihi, by sharp words. Anti, just before Ragnaha of the king, Balaha, a boy, Api, although, son, being so, Upagataha, took to, Tapase, severe penances, Vanani, in a great forest, Tasmai, therefore, Adat gave as a reward Dhruvagatim, a path to the Dhruva planet, Grunate, on being prayed for, Prasannaha, being satisfied, Divyaha, denizens of higher planets, Stuvanti, do pray, Munayaha, great sages, Yat, thereupon, Upari, up, Adhastat, down. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest, and the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward. We will read translation and we'll narrate the story also along. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमावों विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। With the blessings of their lordship Shri Shri Radha Neelamadha, Shri Shri Gauranitai, Shri Lakshmana Samadev Bhagavan, and all the acharyas in the parampara, Srila Prabhupada, and all the senior devotees, and also all the assembled Vaishnavas. I would like to seek the blessings before we discuss the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the entire context is Brahmaji is describing various incarnations. There are so many incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Gunavatar, Leela Avatar. Majorly he is describing Leela Avatar here. So with the various pastimes that Lord has incarnated and he has performed. And Lord performs the pastimes majorly to please his devotees. And along with that, Lord also does many other pastimes just to keep the demons not disturbing the devotees. And also he protects the devotees. That just goes as a byproduct without Lord specifically coming to do so. So in this case, there has been so many avatars that have been already described by Brahmaji. Varaha avatar, Naranarayana avatar, like this. So this immediately after Naranarayana avatar, he is, though the name of the avatar is not mentioned in the verse. If you see in the whole verse, there is no avatar's name only in this shloka. In the previous shlokas, Naranarayana names at least is there. So how can we know who is the avatar? So many a times we will be able to understand not by our own inferences, but we can understand by the revelations of the acharyas. So acharyas are revealing that this specific avatar is Prushnigarbha. So if you can understand who is Prushnigarbha, this describes the activities of Prushnigarbha, this shloka, and the birth of Prushnigarbha is not described here. It is described in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So like this, in this specific shloka, this avatara what is mentioned is Prushnigarbha, and the activity which is mentioned is that he delivered Dhruv Maharaj and he awarded him with the Dhruva planet. So that Prushnigarbha we will just discuss, and then after that we will go into the story of Dhruv Maharaj. So the birth of Prushnigarbha is mentioned in 3rd chapter of 10th canto, 32 and 41 shloka. If you wish, you can refer if you have in mobile. So this is 10.3.32, where Prushnigarbha appeared to Sutapa and Prushni, and he described to them that I am so much pleased by your austerities that I wish to take birth in your as your son. So here he says, Tvameva purva sarge abhu Prishnihi swayam bhuve sati tadayam sutapa nama prajapatir akalmashaha. Oh my dear mother, best of the chaste, in your previous birth in the Swayambhuva millennium, you were known as Prishni, and Vasudeva, who was the most pious Prajapati, was named Sutapa. So Lord is saying that in the previous millenniums, you had done a lot of tapasya, and now, so I am appearing. And after this, he says, Adrishtva anyatamam loke shila audarya gunaihi samam aham suto vam abhavam prishnigarbha iti shrutaha. This is actually, we know this Krishna when he was appearing in the jail of Kamsa. At that time, he is speaking to Vasudeva and Devaki. At that time, he is relating to them their past history. So this Vasudeva Krishna, he is mentioning to them that in the previous millennium, that time also I appeared in your womb, in your family. So he's saying, Adrishtva anyatamam loke. I have throughout this loka, I have never seen anybody. Adrishtva. I have not seen anybody with what? Shila audarya gunaihi samam. The Shila and Audarya. Shila is the character and the simplicity of the heart of yours. I have never seen anybody equivalent to it in the entire universe. So if at all I want to take birth anywhere, then I have to choose a parents also who are equivalent to the qualification, who should be at least having some similarity with the Lord, who should have some purity which is little similar to the Supreme Lord. So he's saying, I've never seen anybody Shila and Audarya in equivalent to anybody like you. That's why aham suto vam abhavam prishnigarbha iti shrutaha. He's saying, that's why I'm going to take birth. Abhavam. I'm going to take birth as Prishnigarbha. Prishni is, who is Prishni in this incarnation? In this incarnation, who Prishni is? Devaki. And Sutapa is Vasudeva. So he is saying Prishnigarbha. So I am going to appear as Prishnigarbha. And I will be famous, celebrated, Shrutaha, as Prishnigarbha. So now what am I going to do? that he is going to say in this is the active this incarnation is going to tell what activities, what leela did this Prishnigarbha did. So now we'll describe this entire pastime of Dhruv Maharaj. So it says, first we'll try to understand this shloka, and so it says Viddhaha. Viddhaha means his his heart is very much pierced. Whose heart is pierced? Dhruv Maharaj's heart is pierced. By what? Sapatni Udita. By the words which are spoken by Sapatni, the co-wife of father. That is Uttanapada's co-wife is Suruchi. And his mother name is Suniti. So Sapatni Udita Patribhihi Sha. Patribhihi means it is like very sharp words which are sometimes the words are also like very sharp and it just goes and pierces, and sometimes the words can be very sweet and sometimes the words can be very sharp like sword or sharp like arrows. Anyway, anywhere else have we heard the words spoken were very sharp? Anywhere in Bhagavatam? Vidura also speaks to Duryodhana, speaking very sharp words to Vidura. Very good. So that is also spoken with envy in the heart, and that's why it was very piercing. And that which is not spoken with out of concern. Sometimes the words can also be spoken very sharply out of concern. Any other example for that? Vidura to Dhritarashtra. So the condition is sharp words is not a problem, but if it is spoken with right intent and right mood, then it can have a positive effect. And the same thing, if the words are spoken very sweetly, and sometimes it can have either a positive effect and can have a negative effect. Now, for example, can we give a example of words which are spoken very sweetly but had a negative effect? That is sweet? Nah, that is sarcastic. Sweet words but having a negative effect. Sweet words in the sense are not hurting, but it is not causing a no, sarcastic is actually externally it is seeming, but it is not actually sweet words. Very good. Dhritarashtra was speaking to Duryodhana. So it is speaking externally, it is seeming very affectionate. He is not wanting to hurt him, but the effect is very detrimental. He is making his own son going away from dharma. Yeah, this is also Duryodhana to Karna also, because he's flattering his ego, by which is actually causing a negative effect. Now, can we give sweet words, pacifying and enlightening? Now, example is this example, where Dhruv Maharaj's heart is actually pierced now. That Suniti is speaking very same, what she speaks that we will describe, but whatever she spoke, actually Suniti also spoke the same thing. What Suruchi spoke and what Suniti spoke, the words are same, but the intent and with the way which is restored, it made a great difference. One, it broke the heart, and another thing is it made the heart very strong. So for Dhruv Maharaj, he became so much determined. Then he went to the forest. So now, can we give an example of similar example of Dhruv Maharaj, like Dhruv Maharaj and Suniti? Any other words? Narada too? Okay. Yes. In the beginning he spoke in a way that he was able to empathize with. He was able to empathize, and also he gave. And at the same time, he spoke sharp words, but at the same time, it was he was able to accept it, and that made Prachinabari become enlightened. So, this is also very good. Haridas Thakur also to prostitute. Ha, this is another amazing. Bhishma to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He says that how such so much calamities, so many difficult situations have come upon you. You don't deserve. And because all these things you have been able to cross just because you have been taking Vipra Achyuta Dharma Ashraya. So he's saying, so that is so comforting to be Yudhishthira Maharaj, because throughout he was so much dissatisfied, though he was being consoled by Vyasadev, even personally Krishna himself, but he was not satisfied. But the way Bhishma spoke, it made Yudhishthira Maharaj get consoled. So in that sense, a devotee sometimes also uh, these kind of words, but we should always understand that at the end of our conversation, we should have got enlightened and we should be going on the path of dharma. And then whether the words are sharp or whether the words are sweet, ultimately we should be able to. And also Krishna says, as much as possible, the words can be sweet. Because Krishna says in austerity of speech, he says, anudvegakaram vakyam. He says anudvegakaram vakyam. So as much as possible, priyam, hitam, and anudvegakaram vakyam. So he's here, patribhir antiragno. So that made the Dhruv Maharaj take up a very strong. It broke the heart of Dhruv Maharaj, and it eventually he went to the house of Suniti, and then he was crying very much. And immediately, the way Suniti consoled him, she said, "Actually, I don't deserve. I don't deserve to be the wife of. I'm actually being considered just as a maid servant by your father, Uttanapad. But if you see the way Suruchi considered herself, she considered herself to be the favorite of Uttanapad. And she was thinking the way she told Dhruv Maharaj, she told that Dhruv Maharaj was trying to climb and sit on the lap of Uttanapad. And she told, you don't deserve, though you are son of a king, you don't deserve to sit on the father's lap. It is like something very natural desire of a child, but she is depriving him of his natural privilege of even being a child. She is not giving him some wealth. She is not giving him any food also. But still, she is depriving him of that privilege, small natural desire of a child. So now she is saying that you go and do tapasya. And you do tapasya and worship Supreme Lord. And after worshipping Supreme Lord, you go and ask for benediction that to take birth in my womb. And then you will be allowed to sit on father's lap. So the entire worship of Supreme Lord is supposed to be bringing out one free from birth and death cycle only. They are supposed to get liberated and no more take birth in the material world. But Suruchi is saying the benediction better than that is taking birth in my womb. Because after worshipping Supreme Lord, the ultimate provision what you are supposed to get is take birth in my womb. So that is the height of arrogance of Suruchi. And why did she speak like this? And that too, she could speak in front of husband, Uttanapad. And she knew Uttanapad is not going to chastise me. He is not going to control me. Because he was controlled by Suruchi. So when one is controlled, at that time, usually people take advantage. And Suruchi took advantage of Uttanapada's favoritism. And because immediately Suruchi understood that Uttanapad will not mind anything. He will not argue, he will not override me. Whatever I say will be final. That means, though Uttanapada is controlling the entire kingdom, but he was controlled by wife. So that means who was actually ruling the kingdom? So in that sense, it becomes very. That's why a king, or at least in a home, what should rule is not wife or husband, but shastras, guru's instructions. So that should rule. But here Uttanapada was being ruled, and the consequences, Dhruv Maharaj is getting mistreated, and he is becoming. He's broken hearted, and he's being deprived of his even simple basic privileges also. So because, and he's running to his mother, and mother is becoming so kind, and mother is also so divine, she has so much devotion. She is saying that whatever one does, he'll surely experience reaction for it. This is what she's saying. Now when I read this for first time, at that moment I was thinking that she's she's trying to say that Suruchi is doing like this, so she's going to face future consequences. But later on, our preachers, our devotees, I think Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, he was saying, actually, she is speaking about Dhruv Maharaj. She is saying that whatever we would have done in the past, now we are experiencing. So don't blame now Suruchi. So I was so much touched. So here, always we should not blame, but instead accept it as a reaction for our own past misdeeds. So she's teaching not to envy Suruchi, but at the same time take it in a positive way. But still, Dhruv Maharaj is, though he hears this, it doesn't register in his heart. At that moment, she is saying that, but you go and worship Supreme Lord, and He can give you thousands of mother's love. For a mother to tell these words, really it takes a great. She must be devoted, and she must have been at least convinced that Supreme Lord is the real mother and father of everyone. So she is not considering. She is not possessive of her own child, and she is the only mother, and she only can give that mother's love. She is saying that even Supreme Lord can give much more love than what I am giving to you. So you go better. And she is saying what Suruchi has told is right. She is saying that she told you that you go and worship Lord, Supreme Lord. Yes, what she has told is right. So you should go and worship. And then Dhruv Maharaj is saying, yes, I want to worship. So you please tell me where I'll find. And she is saying, you will find. I have heard that because though she's just a woman, she is say she also is aware of religious principles, she's aware of scriptures, she's aware of sadhus. So she is saying that I have heard from sadhus and rishis that they find Lord Vishnu in the forest. So she is saying that you go to the forest and you'll find Supreme Lord there, and you go and do tapasya. And though balopi, it is mentioned here, balopi san nupagatas tapase vanani. So we'll read purport now, and we'll continue. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, when he was only 5 years old, Prince Dhruva, a great devotee and the son of Maharaj Uttanapad, was sitting on the lap of his father. His stepmother did not like the king's patting her stepson. So she dragged him out, saying that he could not claim to sit on the lap of the king because he was not born out of her womb. The little boy felt insulted by this act of his stepmother, nor did his father make any protest, for he was too attached to his second wife. Dhritarashtra also, he was also attached, so he also could not speak strongly. Here Uttanapada is also attached, that's why he also is not able to speak strongly. After this incident, Prince Dhruva went to his own mother and complained. His real mother also could not take any step against this insulting behaviors, and so she wept. The boy inquired from his mother how he could sit on the royal throne of his father. And the poor queen replied that only the Lord could help him. The boy inquired where the Lord could be seen, and the queen replied that it is said that the Lord is sometimes seen by the great sages in the dense forest. The child prince decided to go into the forest to perform severe penances in order to achieve his objective. So now Dhruv Maharaj is deciding that let me go to the forest. And and as soon as he decided that I should go to the forest, and the purpose is he wants to see the Supreme Lord. And as soon as one desires to see the Supreme Lord, and one desires to uh, take his blessings and benediction, the Supreme Lord becomes very much eager also to help such a devotee. So here, Dhruv Maharaj may not be a pure devotee in this at this point of time, but still, because he is wanting to see, the Lord becomes very much happy. So Lord says in Bhagavad Gita also, Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna. Artho artharthi jignasur gnani cha bharatarshabha. He says 4 categories of people. Krishna is saying udaradhi. They are actually very magnanimous. Krishna is considering them as very great. Why? At least they are approaching me. They are not going anywhere else. So Krishna is happy. So then sometimes we may have some material desires. So no problem. But at least worship only Vishnu and ask only from him instead of asking from anyone else. So Lord is also very pleased that at least he is asking from me only. So then Lord became concerned, and then he sent Narada, please go. And this devotee is wanting to have my darshan. So please guide him how he can take my darshan. So then Prabhupada is saying, Prince Dhruva performed a stringent type of penance under the instruction of his spiritual master Sri Narada Muni, who was specifically deputed for this purpose by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There Prabhupada writes in one of the books, by the mercy of Supreme Lord, one gets Guru. And by the mercy of Guru, one gets the Supreme Lord. So such an amazing statement this Prabhupada is making. So he says that even if we are coming across in our life an intervention of a great soul, that is actually mercy of Supreme Lord. And we should treasure it. And equally important is also to treasure the association of and the instruction of that pure devotee in our life, by which we will be able to attain supreme treasure of Supreme Lord. So Prince Dhruva was initiated by Narada into chanting of the hymn composed of 12 syllables, namely Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the Lord Vasudeva incarnated himself as Prishnigarbha, the personality of Godhead with 4 hands, and awarded the prince a specific planet above the 7 stars. So here, as soon as Dhruva Maharaj was bent upon achieving Supreme Lord, in the beginning, Narad Muni tested whether Dhruva Maharaj is having that determination. And when he saw that Dhruva Maharaj is not ready to move an inch back, at that time he immediately decided, yes, I should initiate him. And then he gave him this Dvadashakshara mantra. And it is said that this is actually a Gayatri mantra. And usually Gayatri mantras are not to be spoken out like this. But at the same time, Prabhupada replies, he says, though it is spoken out, unless we receive it from a bona fide spiritual master, it will not have that effect. So that's why we should not chant Gayatri unless we are initiated. Many times people chant Gayatri and they do put it in loudspeaker also, which is actually against Vedic injunction. So it's just not supposed to be done. So here this mantra is supposed to be only heard and it should be repeated within. So like that. And also Narad Muni gave very elaborate instructions how to perform devotional service, which is also very important because today is Ekadashi. And on Ekadashi, what are we supposed to do? We are also supposed to do focus ourselves completely on the Supreme Lord. And there, the kind of instructions that Narad Muni gave to Dhruva Maharaj, he says, be satisfied with whatever is available in the forest. Don't go out for searching food somewhere else, into some village or cities. Because, and that means the important instruction for a devotee when he's practicing bhakti is also, at least on Ekadashi, is to not look for material fulfillment or bodily fulfillment beyond a certain limit. Whatever is bare minimum required, be satisfied with it. and more important is what is supposed to be done. Many times we think upavas is the goal of Ekadashi, but upavasa is the requirement for doing proper Ekadashi. Because upavas is supposed to help us become vasa means situate oneself. Upa means closer. So one should situate oneself closer to the Supreme Lord. So that means one can situate closer to Supreme Lord always by restricting bodily needs. So that means situate with bodily many minimum bodily needs and focus the mind and consciousness everything in Supreme Lord, and especially by chanting. So he told consistently and constantly keep chanting and also meditate on various leela of various incarnations. So this is one of the incarnation also, so which we are already discussing. Like this, various Leela avatars and various instructions and anything connected to bhakti, please always meditate and also keep chanting these holy names and restrict bodily demands. So then he told, very soon you are going to get Supreme Lord's darshan. And he told, go to Madhuvan and take everyday bath in river Yamuna and you'll get purified. So very soon, by following this very severe penance, within 6 months, Supreme Lord appeared, and he awarded him the specific planet above the 7 stars, that is Saptarshi Mandala. And Prince Dhruva, after achieving success in his undertakings, saw the Lord face to face, and he was satisfied all his needs were fulfilled. Because here Dhruv Maharaj was desiring that I should get a kingdom bigger than anyone else in this world. So then Supreme Lord gave him also that. Not only that, Supreme Lord also gave him Prema Bhakti. So that is Kripa of Supreme Lord. The planet awarded to Prince Dhruv Maharaj is a fixed Vaikuntha planet installed in the material atmosphere by the will of the Supreme Lord Vasudev. This planet, although within the material world, will not be annihilated at the time of devastation, but will remain fixed in its place. And because it is a Vaikuntha planet, never to be annihilated, it is worshipped even by the denizens of heaven, denizens of 7 stars situated below the Dhruva planet, as well as by the planets which are even above the Dhruva planet. Maharshi Bhrugu's planet is situated above the Dhruva planet. So the Lord incarnated himself as Prishnigarbha. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilmada Bhagwan ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Just to satisfy a pure devotee of the Lord. And Prince Dhruva achieved this perfection simply by chanting the hymn as mentioned above. So that means just by chanting the mantra which we have received. Now, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Just by chanting that. And after being initiated by another pure devotee, Narada. So that means that is also important. That means we should also chant and also we should take initiation. A serious personality can thus achieve the highest perfection of meeting the Lord and attain his objective simply by being guided by a pure devotee who automatically approaches by dint of one's serious determination to meet the Lord by all means. And also, we should keep determination to execute this path. The description of Prince Dhruva's activities can be read in detail in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय. Other devotees can please add. If you can add, Prabhuji.